so much for joining us. Strike three. You're out. That happened a lot yesterday. In fact, wait. I'm just now hearing from Jesse. Yep, from Jake Eisenberg. Another strikeout. It is now up to 13 for Pablo Lopez. Hopefully you took the over on the strikeouts like we told you to do.
Told you.
You made some money. Welcome into Mic'd Up. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. We will talk some Royals baseball as Groundhog Day continues against the Twins. The Twins hearing this coming from breaking news that John Sherman no longer the owner of the Royals. The Twins are now the owner of the Royals. We will talk a little Royals. We'll talk some Chiefs. Jesse Newell will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Big 12 preseason poll is out. We will give you our predictions. If you missed it yesterday, we will give you what our top poll for the Big 12 will be this upcoming year. We'll talk a little Chris Jones numbers. Fulton getting nervous. Chris Jones still not signed?
Nope.
Nope, he says. We'll get to that. Lots to talk about. Start, bench, cut. So much to discuss on this Thursday. Let us know your thoughts. As always, hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@sportson580. So simple. Just go to YouTube, search Sports on 580, click on it, subscribe. You can join in. Let us know in the comments section. Check us out on our website, 580wivw.com. Very easy to get to as well on this Thursday edition. Another strikeout. Wow, we're up to 14. Fulton, how about that? This is where Fulton. This is where you have a tough time with your team, because after the LA series, they beat the Dodgers. All right, the best franchise in the last 8 years, 9 years. I mean,
give or take.
They've been awesome. The Royals were 5-5 after Sunday's game against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That was their best stretch of ball all year. They have had an 11-game stretch better. They went 6-5. But the best stretch that they've had in a 10-game span is 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it twice now.
Yeah.
They were 5-5.
Mm-hmm.
Just beat the Dodgers back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Doing things great.
Yeah.
You were excited.
A little bit.
They brought you back in a little bit more.
Oh, fully.
Oh, fully. They just beat the Dodgers, man. At the K. Dodgers, you ain't coming to the K. This is our town. This is our place. Them fountains, yeah, you didn't go swimming in them fountains. We did. And then they went to Target Field. You're like, the Twins. Hey, the Twins have at the time, I think they were right at 500.
Yeah, I think they were. Or close to it.
Momentum.
And then you get swept.
Not just swept.
Oh, you got your butts kicked.
Was this the worst 3-game series of the year? I did some digging, Fulton,
mm-hmm.
and if you were wondering about that,
mm-hmm.
They went from maybe their best series of the year, because they just didn't beat the Dodgers.
No, they beat them handily. They handled them.
They beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay. To the worst series of the year potentially.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we told you Pablo Lopez. There's a reason why the Twins gave up the best contact hitter in the game in Luis Arraez
to get Pablo
Lopez.
You saw it.
That dude he pitched a complete game.
First complete game shutout of his career.
12 Ks, allowed 4 hits.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals only had 2 at-bats with runners in scoring position.
Yep.
They left just 3 men on base.
Good job.
The Twins had 5 hits, 2 home runs, 6 walks. I mean, if there were ever a 5-0 game that felt like a 9-0 game,
this was
it, right? So that was the game yesterday. every time, because I had it on in the background, cleaning some of the house, kids are doing stuff. And all of a sudden I look up there and I just see just strike. And then, oh, wow, that went right down the middle. You clearly were fooled on that one. And I'm just, it was just kind of, you just had to laugh, right?
A little bit.
Mike Matheny would be like, I'm not tipping my cap. But Pablo Lopez is really good. Royals, don't feel bad. Pablo Lopez has done that to a lot of people this year.
Pablo Lopez has the second most strikeouts in the American League. Trust me, he does what he did last night to a lot of people.
Who's got the most?
Kevin Gausman.
Really?
Up in Toronto, Kevin Gausman is the most strikeouts in the American League.
Really?
Second is Pablo Lopez, who just took second place last night. Third is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei was second. Pablo was third, and they flip-flopped.
No kidding.
Yeah, Kevin Gausman.
He's had a good turnaround for his career.
Very random. If you took out Kevin Gausman's first 2 starts of the year, where he was real bad for 2 starts to kick off the season, his ERA would be 1.59.
Wow. He's been
so
good.
Ever since the first 2 starts, Kevin Gausman's been mowing everyone
Is
down.
he going to start the All-Star game?
Potentially.
Interesting.
There's some options.
Either way. The Royals got dominated last night. Game 2.
Kenta Maeda dominated you.
9-3 a loss. Royals had 9 Ks, 5 hits. They did score 3 runs, but they scored 1 in the 9th.
That doesn't really count.
That's kind of the garbage runs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not any good. They had just 1 walk. They allowed 3 home runs. Or, I beg your pardon. They didn't have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position in the game.
Yeah, no, that part I found it very funny.
What?
I found that very funny because their one chance to have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position, it was a sacrifice fly.
What?
So it doesn't count. It's a plate appearance. Yeah,
that is
hilarious.
9 innings and didn't have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position.
Nope.
And yet they scored 3 runs. Well, they scored 3 runs because of the homer.
Yeah, a 2-run homer where the guy on first helps.
Yeah, they left 1 man on base.
Yeah.
There's no base runners.
Nope.
Yeah, how about that? So over the last 2 days, they've had 4 guys on base that they left on base. And then game 1, a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, it was competitive until Taylor Clark came in and did Taylor Clark things.
Yes. So the score was 8-4. But
that was a tight game for the first 8 innings.
But the Royals struck out 13 times. The Twins had 14 hits. The Twins went 6-12 with runners. So maybe that's their. But when you look at it, the run differential, 15. Hey, losing 3 games, 15 runs, baby. And it should have been more, to be honest with you, because in games 2 and 3, the Royals were lucky that it was just 5-0 and honestly 9-3. So the run differential is 15. I put them all together. To me, this was one of the 4 worst series of the year for the Royals. And wins matter. So you basically had to sweep. You had to get swept, right? You just had to get blanked. Well, that's happened more than 4 times, but a couple of them, the White Sox, the Braves, they were competitive all 3 games. They just lost competitively in all 3 games. They didn't get, embarrassed in 3 straight games like they did in 3 other sweeps. So here is what we're going to have here, Fulton. You get to put them in order. Worst series of the year. This one, run differential of 15, a little bit more fresh in your mind, considering how many strikeouts there were. What was there? 34 strikeouts? 34 strikeouts in a 3-game stretch.
That's what the Twins do.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's what the Twins do. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's over a strikeout an inning.
Yeah.
Cheapers. Well, they got swept by Baltimore. Run differential of 14.
That sucked.
Swept by Miami.
That series really blew.
Run differential of 13. Swept by the Rangers. They got smacked.
Yeah, that was bad.
By 23 runs. And I am going to include losing a series to the A's.
Yep. Nope. That counts.
I know that they won a game, but
no, they lost 2 of 3 to the A's. That's disgusting.
Exactly.
That's disgusting.
Exactly. So,
including giving up a bunch of runs to the A's. That was disgusting.
You just can't lose a series to the A's.
No, you can't.
Alrighty.
Looking at you, Atlanta.
those are the four. I didn't include the Braves because they were competitive.
Yeah,
White Sox.
no,
Are you on board with that?
I'm on board with
Okay.
these because these are the 5 series I would call some of the worst ones. And where I'd kind of rank this is the most disappointing series of the years was Oakland. Like, it's Oakland and it's not close. Because as bad as you are, and I know we've got this at length, and I know a lot of you out there go, well, I keep dogging on the A's, but or the Royals that much better. The fact of the matter is the A's were built intentionally to be this bad. You should be able to beat a team that's intentionally built to be as disgustingly bad as the Oakland Athletics are. So that's why that's always going to be number one for me. You were at Kauffman Stadium. You were at home against the A's. You have to win 2 of those 3 games. Like that's just unforgivable. Then I go to Miami. Miami's the second most disappointing because Miami's not an elite team. And that entire series just was bleh.
And that's where you and I getting smashed by the Rangers, I get it. The Rangers are really good this year.
The 2 least disappointing series to me
yes.
are this past one in Minnesota and the Rangers for 2 reasons.
Really?
For 2 reasons. The Rangers are that good. Like, the Rangers are
least disappointing. Gotcha.
Like, the Rangers, for me, that level with the Rangers is just, they're showing they're, like, serious contenders. It's going to happen. Like, you are not close to competing with that. For the Twins, I have one very specific reason why I'm not that disappointed. And it's the way the lineup is right now at this moment in time. This lineup has no teeth because all their best hitters keep getting hurt.
And I look at it as I'm not too upset at this one because we all know this, right? You know how the old saying is styles make fights?
Yeah.
You know, this right here, this was
a style made a fight.
No, this was matchups. This was like, ready for this? Correlate it back to the NCAA tournament. The brackets released on Sunday, KU, the 1 seed out west. Oh, what? How are they the 1 seed out west? And then you see the 16 seed. Who is the 16 seed? I don't remember. Directional U.
Pretty much.
And then the 8 seed popped up. Arkansas.
Yeah, that just
crap.
Didn't work. Yeah.
This is a badge matchup. Joe Ryan owns the Royals, and the Twins are a strikeout pitching team, and the Royals strike out.
It's more than that. The Minnesota Twins are the best pitching staff in the American League. In nearly every major metric, the Twins are the best pitching staff in the American League. When you have a lineup that without Vinny Pasquantino and with Salvador Perez basically not existing right now, your 2 best hitters don't exist. Like, literally, like, Salvador Perez, like, and I love Sal, and I'm not trying to dog on him too much. But Salvador Perez in the line versus out of the lineup, there's no difference right now. Whether he is physically on the field or on the bench, there is no difference with him right now. When you don't have that, like, that's part of the Royals' offensive problem. And I was just, their best hitters aren't playing. And when you have that problem, which means when the Royals have no power, because they had a little bit of power with that. They have no power right now.
Yeah.
When you have that, means you need to get a lot of hits to get runs. When you face the best pitching staff in the league,
it's a bad match.
Yeah, and that's why this series doesn't, like, Pablo Lopez last night, like, that stunk, but, like, Pablo Lopez is one of the best pitchers in the American League who's had a couple bad starts here and there. Like, Joe Ryan's the most underrated pitcher in baseball. Kenta Maeda has struggled coming off the injured list, but he's still really good. Like,
so that's
just
why
throw your hands up and say whatever.
I don't have a problem. It's a bad matchup.
It's a terrible. The Twins right now,
matchup.
Given how both teams are constructed, are a terrible matchup for the Royals.
Yeah. So I'm with you. To me, the 2 worst performances of the year for the Royals were Miami and the A's.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how you view the A's because they did win a game. They did win. They were not in any one of the games against Miami.
No. And you look at them, like, you lost 9-6, but that game wasn't as close, even 9-6.
And they scored they scored their runs late.
Yeah. And then 6-1, 6-1.
You're not even in them.
Like, It's bad.
And then Miami, to me, I know that technically they'd have a better record than anyone in, well, no, I take that back. They have the same record as the Rangers, but the Orioles, to me, are a better team than Miami. That's just how I look at it. And you still beat the A's one game, but man, that's
because
they've been swept 6 times this year,
and it's it is what it is at this point. And this team is just going to be as bad as they're going to be. But like the Miami series, as good as the Marlins are, and the strength, and the thing is, the Marlins' strength is the same problem for the Royals that the Twins' strength is. The Marlins' strength is their rotation outside of Sandy Alcantara, which is the weirdest thing I've ever thought I'd say, because their reigning Cy Young is their worst pitcher. It's weird. But the Marlins' strength is their pitching. And when the Royals face good pitching staffs, things don't go well because they're young hitters who can flounder. Like, I think, if these hitters get more experience and you get some changes to the lineup, they'll be better against top pitching staffs, years down the line. But this year, the better the pitching staff is, the worse chances the Royals have to beat them. The reason they could take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers' weakness is their rotation.
Correct.
They can't pitch this year. And that's how the Royals won, was because partly you got 2 really good starts out of Daniel Lynch and Brady Singer, but also because that pitching is so bad, you can hit. Like, that's why they struggle against the Twins. That's why this 4-game series against Cleveland in the first half is going to be brutal, because Cleveland can pitch. They can't hit unless you're throwing Austin Cox out there and he gives up some home runs and other things happen. But like overall, Cleveland for the most part can't hit, but they can pitch. And that's going to make it like every series the Royals have to face good pitching is going to be hard to watch, because these young hitters are just learning on the job. And when your offense relies on stringing hits together, you are even more susceptible to losing to good rotations. And the fact of the matter is, right now, the Royals have like 2 power hitters in this entire lineup, and they're not hitting for power, and Nick Pratto and Bobby Witt Jr. And Salvador Perez doesn't exist right now. He doesn't exist.
Well, he does.
It's
kind of like the whole, when we talked about does
a tree falling in the forest make a sound?
Yeah.
He
does exist.
He does exist.
You can just say he's bad.
And I don't know if it's his hand or what, but he just because every other guy in the lineup just doesn't hit for power. Like, and so that's just not a way to win baseball in 2023. And so you combine all of these factors together, all of it together, and it just makes them like they're about to have some bad matchups in a row. Like, Cleveland's going to not be fun to end this break with. And then they get 3 against the Rays immediately out of the break, which I don't know what to expect there, because they split the series with them down in Tampa. I don't know how that's going to go.
Matt Cotrero knows his team, man.
Apparently.
Knows his team. We'll get a quick timeout. We got a lot more to get to on this edition of Mic'd Up. Coming up next, good idea, bad idea for the NBA here on Mic'd Up. Woj tweeted out, ESPN sources, the NBA's new in-season tournament Final Four is set for December 7th and 9th in Las Vegas. Statistics will count for the league's regular season except for the championship game of the event. That is dumb. But are you ready for this? The NBA is trying to keep teams who are tanking into the season, or at least keep their fan bases into it while they suck. They're trying to do what soccer does. Okay?
A little bit.
Which is, in the United States, you have the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sporting KC's won that a bunch, you know. Over in Europe, they got the Champions League, you know. The best
Plus
of the
a few
best.
other scattered domestic cups.
The FA Cup and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. They got a few scattered throughout. Yeah.
Here's the thing. American culture is not soccer culture, okay?
No.
I think this is stupid. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to do this. The reason why the US Open Cup in soccer works is because it's everybody. It's everyone who has an established team is eligible.
Yeah.
You got teams from, like 3 leagues below the MLS, trying to make a run. This is just NBA teams. Oh, great. So it's the same NBA teams I see every single week playing against each other, but we're going to put it as a tournament. Like, this is truly dumb to me.
I agree.
You're on board with that?
I don't get it. I like leagues, if they want to make their product more exciting, honestly, you got to start shortening some seasons. Like that, like the NBA wants to fix like fatigue of watching it, all the like load management, all these random things. You got to shorten your season, which people won't do, but like a lot of these leagues just shorten the season. It will accomplish actually a lot of your goals.
You got it. The only reason those other tournaments work is because they involve other leagues.
They do.
This doesn't. This is dumb. NBA, you're stupid. Coming up next, Jesse Newell joins us to talk a little Chiefs. mic'd up. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. The Big 12 football poll will be released here coming up. We will get to that. We'll talk a little Chris Jones as well. Everyone loves the list today. Somebody pointed out to me today that today is Thirsty Thursday. We remember Thirsty Thursday. Don't really do Thirsty Thursday anymore. But today we're going to go with, because it is Thirsty Thursday, we're going to go with our favorite drink specials. Very simple, very easy. What's your favorite drink special? You know, you got your local pub, your local bar, your local tavern, your local dive, your local, watering hole.
Got any more synonyms you can use there?
That's not bad, right?
That's not a bad little run there. I'll tell you. No, that's pretty good.
That's
pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad.
So we will get to that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour for Everyone Loves the List. Right now, though, we are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line with our good friend Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star. You can follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse Newell. Jesse, this is going to be my first question for you. What is your favorite drink special? When you see that your local watering hole has the specials on the board and they say this, what is your favorite drink special? Or maybe not now, but it was, back in your younger days.
Yeah, not as much anymore. I'm not as cool as I used to be, but I really wasn't that cool back then either. Back at KU, they had which night was it? Thursday or Friday nights? They had the schooners at Louise's downtown on Mass Street for $1.50.
$1.50.
And a schooner. A schooner got me to the brink. So you got two of those.
It was 96 ounces. Like, that's what it felt like.
It was big, and like I said, it was cheap night to have a good time over at Louise's in Lawrence back in the day. I'm sure they're like $8 now, but back in the day, it's $1.50 on it's either Thursday or Friday night. So those were some of the best college nights.
I think on Thursday or Fridays when I was there was, I don't know if it was $1.50. They had schooner specials on Thursday or Friday still. And Jesse, let me tell you, you're right. You could have a very cheap night and enjoy yourself one of those nights.
Yeah, this was before all the Ubers and everything. So yeah, hopefully you were within walking distance of home. But it was. That's the one that stands out to me. Just I remember it seemed like the whole city went there because it was a great deal and it was a great place to have a good time on a very, very low budget.
Jesse, when did you graduate from KU?
Graduated in 06.
Okay, you graduated 06. I graduated 07. Do you remember when the ranch had quarter night?
Oh my gosh, we're really going back here, Jake.
Yes, we are, Jesse.
Nobody else is going to know besides us. I actually, during one summer, I was working for the Journal World as a part-timer, and so I just needed a place to live because, during the year you're living in college. You're living at me it was the nerd halls, but you could live in the dorms or whatever. I lived in the apartment complex across the street from the ranch. So the answer to your question is yes. I do remember quarter nights at the ranch.
So quarter night was the ranch around when you were in college, or had it already been
I got nothing here. I am lost completely at what we're talking about.
Wow,
I'm lost.
We are old, Jesse. The quarter night at the ranch was you showed up and you could get, wasn't it anything that you wanted for a quarter?
It was something real good, and I just remember. So hopefully you guys both get this reference, but the video game Frogger?
Yeah.
Where you kind of move up a space or go back and go up and up and up and then back again. Well, the ranch was right off of 6th Street, and I just told you my apartment was across the street from 6th Street. So at the end of the night, it'd be midnight, 1 o'clock or whatever. It was like the most dangerous game of Frogger in real life that you ever played. Because it was Jesse after whatever quarter night or whatever it was at the ranch that night, trying to get across back to his apartment in a very happy state and trying to go across whatever it is, 5-6 lanes of traffic on one of the busiest streets in Lawrence, Kansas. So that was the least fun I've ever had playing Frog.
Yeah, the ranch had some wild specials. They had quarter night, and then they had I think it was if you paid the $10 cover, you got to drink out of like 5 kegs of beer free the rest of the night. You gave like a wristband. Do you remember this, Jesse? I know we're going in the Wayback Machine. I don't care though. We all love nostalgia. So do you remember that drink special at the ranch?
The ranch was a really popular place. That's what I can tell you.
All righty, Jesse. Enough of us having too many beers when we were in college. But yes, hit us up. Let us know your thoughts on our text line. What was your favorite drink special? We'll get to those coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We do Everyone Loves the List. All right, Jesse. The Kansas City Chiefs report to training camp. I know you're excited to head up to St. Joe. Are you worried at all? Chris Jones, no contract yet.
I think worried's too strong, but I think it's time to pay attention to it. You know, it's not nothing at this point, and there's been enough kind of things that have happened where Chris Jones sat out mandatory minicamp. He got a fine from up to about $100,000 based on the CBA. He didn't show up to the ring ceremony when everybody else thought he was going to be there. He said afterwards on Twitter that he was sick, but that's one of those things. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? I don't know. There's just enough that's happened that it's worth paying attention to. Now, we can go back to 2019 when Chris Jones was at the end of his rookie deal. And how did this play out? He did not go to mandatory minicamp, took the fines there. He showed up to the first day of training camp, and then two sides ended up getting a long-term agreement done on the last day they could during training camp. So up until this point, now that he's on the final year of his deal again, what's happened? He missed mandatory minicamp and took the fines. We don't know what he's doing for training camp yet, but would it surprise us if he showed up? No, it wouldn't shock us if he showed up on the Veterans Support Day. And then from there, the two sides have time to be able to potentially work out a deal. I would say that I still think this thing gets done for a few reasons. Every time Brett Veach, the GM for the Chiefs, is asked about it, he talks about how there's open communication both sides and that the two sides are talking. So that seems positive. You've seen Chris Jones online talk about how he wants to be a Chief for life, doesn't want to play for another organization. Usually that's a pretty good sign that a guy wants to be somewhere and that potentially he's willing to give up a little bit of leverage to make that sort of thing happen. So the other part of this is I think the Chiefs are motivated to get this done, but I could see why Chris Jones' side would be motivated to not get it done because right now you look at the top of the defensive tackle market and Aaron Donald's at $31 million. I think the second place guy is at $23. That's a big gap to try to negotiate in. And from what the sounds of it are, Quinnen Williams from the Jets is potentially going to have his long-term deal done here sometime during training camp. Whatever his number is will help out Chris Jones' side. You know what I mean? Like if he gets 26 or 27 million, you negotiate off that. So I think there's a lot of reason for Chris Jones' side to want to come to the table, but yet want to wait until that deal is done to give them a little bit more negotiating power. So I think this gets done. I think he's a Chief for a long term and even longer than, just past this year. But at least right now it has my attention to at least see if there's at least a potential here for things to go sideways. I don't think that'll happen, but they have not gotten the deal done yet. So it's something we have to pay attention to.
Do you think if they don't get a deal done this year, I mean, he's still under contract this coming year, but then they can tag him again next year. So a part of me is like, look, the tag might not even be as much money as you could make if you sign an extension because the top 3 guys at your position, you just mentioned how different, the number 1 versus number 2 and number 3. A part of me is like, look, the Chiefs can keep you. Excuse me. The Chiefs are going to keep you for this year and next year, no matter what, because that's how the system is set up for Chris Jones.
Yes, you could. I mean, I think there's problems if you do that. For one, I just talked about how Chris Jones has said he loves the Chiefs and wants to remain there. It's sort of not working in good faith, if you will, and he could see it that way, and potentially you could have negative ramifications there. Number 2, the thing about he has a huge cap number right now, and part of the reason they would love to negotiate with him and get this long-term deal done is it would clear up a little bit of money here on the front end to this. And so if you continue to cap guy, I mean, look back to the example of Orlando Brown earlier this offseason. Almost everybody thought that the Chiefs were going to franchise tag him. And if you do, you have to reserve that money as if it's going to go to that guy. Well, if you do that, Chris Jones, again, you're sort of putting yourself a little bit in salary cap hell to not have these numbers that can be fiddled with a little bit and also to know that if you're going to franchise tag him, you have to reserve that money. The Chiefs, instead of doing that with Orlando Brown, they kind of made what I think a lot of people thought was surprising. They didn't tender him a contract and instead went out and got Jawan Taylor early on in free agency. They wouldn't have been able to do that if they had obviously franchised Orlando Brown, because that money would have sort of been like in a bank that you couldn't touch. So there's a few reasons I just don't think that it would make a lot of sense to do that. Plus, Chris Jones has played really well when motivated and in good shape and all those sorts of things. You start burning bridges there and you wonder what kind of player you're going to get. And especially one that's already signed with you one long-term extension. What are you going to have happen if this thing doesn't get done? And he means a lot to this franchise. I mean, we can talk about what Patrick Mahomes does for the Chiefs, Andy Reid does for the Chiefs, but you look at that defense, they've got a lot of really good players, but who are the superstars besides Chris Jones? I don't see any. I mean, Nick Bolton might be kind of fringe Pro Bowl level, but outside of that, there's nobody up to the level of Chris Jones, and he's what makes the thing go. So I think all sides would be much happier if this thing could get settled, but you spoke to it, Jake. They drew a hard line on Tyreek Hill when he wanted a certain amount of money to, go above and beyond every other receiver contract, and they moved on from him. The Chiefs have put themselves in this position to potentially win multiple Super Bowls because they do that. They take a hard line, and if somebody doesn't agree to that, they have shown that they can move on from people, and nobody's untouchable other than Patrick Mahomes. The problem now is what you mentioned, which is they traded Tyreek Hill back in March where they got draft picks that they could use that following draft. Right now with Chris Jones, if you make a trade, all those draft picks you're going to get potentially next year. So tricky situation. I think when it's all said and done, they'll get him signed. But like I said, it'll be something to monitor for sure when it comes to training camp that starts next week.
I am on team pay Chris Jones. So whatever they need to do, pay the man. Everybody's talking about, he's going into his third. Well, he's going to be 29 next year. So you still got 29, 30, 31. Give him the deal. Let's move on and try to win another Super Bowl. I am fully on board with that. When it comes to the Chiefs, as we're talking with Jesse Newell on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line, follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse Newell. Jesse, are you on Threads? Are you a Thread guy already?
I signed up yesterday. I have not created a thread yet, so I'm on there.
Yeah. What's going to be your big following for this Chiefs training camp? Is it the Chris Jones signing? Let's take that out of the mix. I mean, there's not a whole lot of roster, competition, to be honest with you. We've at least done our roster construction. What do we figure? Maybe two spots open on this entire roster. When it comes to where they're going to put guys, what are you looking at the biggest things going into Chiefs training camp coming up here in about 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is receivers, because they have a lot of depth there, but you hear Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid talk about this in the last few months. They like the depth, but practice to practice, day to day, there's different guys emerging. And, Patrick Mahomes even said, I don't know who's going to be on this roster, come August and September. They have some options there and not exactly sure how that will play out, whether it comes to injuries or guys emerging. I mean, we all know the great unknown Justin Ross. He's a guy that struggles to remain on the practice field, even in mandatory minicamp that we're not putting out there for team drills. Maybe that was precautionary, but a guy that struggles to stay out there. But again, if he emerges, if they do let him go do that, if he does have a good training camp, I don't think he's a guy that you want to lose or that you want to put on your practice squad. Potentially somebody else can pick him up. So that's an interesting one. Last year they signed John Ross, the former first-round draft pick, the speedster, to a future reserve deal. Andy Reid just seems to find a way to make fast guys work in this offense. Does he emerge? Is he good? What about Richie James? I wrote about him last week, and I had a career year with the Giants last year. The Chiefs have been trying to get him on the roster for a few years. If you ask General Manager Brett Veach, where he said he tried to trade for Richie James back when he was with the 49ers a few years ago. What's his role? Justin Watson, he signed late in the process, a 2-year deal. He was fine for the Chiefs, reliable, knew the positions, but if these other guys emerge, is he a guy you could potentially still cut and just bite that bullet because you wanted him for security? So I think receivers is the top one here. Not to mention a guy like Rashee Rice, who, to be frankly honest with you guys, did not look good in mandatory minicamp, did not look good in OTAs, out of shape. Andy Reid basically called him out for that, and then also just was not very much up with the top unit there. So we've known that there's been a steep learning curve for a lot of receivers in the Andy Reid offense since they've come to Kansas City. A big playbook to learn, a lot to learn. So How much he'll develop and whether he'll be even useful this year for the Chiefs will be something to watch. I think the other thing is defensive line. Not only Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who was battling that hand injury and a couple injuries when he sat out most of rookie minicamp, or didn't go through the full team drills as I talked about, but George Karlaftis' second season, Charles Omenihu, who can play inside outside, one of the big free agent pickups for the Chiefs, potentially, high upside play there. We talked about Chris Jones, who is in that mix, but will he be there? Will he not be there? All those sorts of things. And then kind of the off thought of this, which is last year, you kind of looked at it and said, they might be one guy short. And then what happened in mid-July? They went outside Carlos Dunlap, one of those veterans who doesn't want to be in training camp anyway, wants to sign midway through, says they have to go through it. Could the Chiefs do it again? And again, this might go back to if they get Chris Jones signed, you clear up some salary cap room, but look for a veteran. I mean, the Chiefs most likely probably will 3 or 4 weeks into camp do the same thing they did last year, sign one of those veterans. And again, it could be Carlos Dunlap. It would be a nice fit again if he wants to come back to the Chiefs. So I would say those two positions are the ones I'm looking at most, along with Chris Jones' situation. But receiver, it's wide open. They have a lot of depth, but who's going to emerge? Even Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at this point will tell you they don't know.
The Rashee Rice situation that's a red flag. If you are 22 years old and you're not in shape, and Fulton knows this, man, that is my big pet peeve and big hill I'll die on. Stop boasting your chest. Wow, I'm in the best shape of my life. Buddy, it's your job to be in shape, so you should be. But if you're not in shape and you're a rookie, what are you doing?
Yeah. Again, I sort of admired Andy Reid for rookie minicamp at the very end to basically just say to us, reporters, he's got to get in shape. And, you have to caveat all this with how early it is, Jake. You know this. I mean, what we saw them in was all short. It's a couple months before they get to training camp when things really happen. So things can change. And obviously there's been workout videos of him online, working with the guys, working with trainers. You can catch up. I mean, we just saw from the match last week that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they're probably ahead on the beer chart compared to Rashee Rice at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can catch up to some of these guys, but it wasn't impressive from him. I mean, I'm just laying it out there for you. It was not impressive for him early on when it looked like, especially when it was a little bit hot, he was not wanting to complete drills or get all the way through them. And like I said, we saw Sky Moore last year. That was tricky for the Chiefs. Same thing, second round draft pick. They hoped to contribute right away. Then the punt return stuff happened, seemed to lose some confidence. Not always on the same page as Patrick Mahomes. I must mention here, I think Sky Moore's been one of the stories of camp so far, potentially a big jump from him in receiving core that probably is going to need it. But yeah, I think it's okay right now to question or wonder how much Rashee Rice is going to impact this team, especially with the first impression he gave here during rookie minicamp and then on into OTAs and mandatory minicamp.
All righty, last two for the road, Jesse. I don't know if you heard John Sherman's press conference, but when someone asked about what the Chiefs are going to do, he's like, I don't want to talk about the Chiefs. And then he talked about the Chiefs, and he's like, yeah, they're on the same timeline we are. What do we know about the Chiefs? Are they just laying low and letting John Sherman take all the heat here for what's going down? Are they going to be on the ballot as well for this tax? Kind of what's the situation there on the business side?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know John Sherman, I think he used that very term, taking the bullets for the Chiefs or something along those lines. The last we talked to Clark Hunt, and he reiterated this right after the draft. We talked to him at training camp last year, and our Sam McDowell asked him kind of what his preference would be. And as of then, and he reiterated nothing had changed here a few months ago, Clark Hunt's preference is to keep Arrowhead where it is and probably renovate that stadium. I think the bias here is one that makes sense and is understandable, which is you saw it in the Super Bowl rings, which is Clark's father, Lamar, had a quote to say that Arrowhead Stadium was his favorite place on earth. And so I just think for Clark, it's going to be very difficult to move to a different location or a different place based off his father's legacy and his father's history. And so, listen, could there be lots of moving pieces with the Royals? If the Royals decide they're going to move, could you make a new Arrowhead where Kaufman is and continue to play? I'm sure the Chiefs would love to do more stuff with that big parking lot if they knew it was only theirs. You know what I mean? Could they add stores or
Mhm.
districts or that sort of thing? So as it stands now, it seems like Clark Hunt is pretty intent. I mean, they're doing studies, all those things, but pretty happy with where Arrowhead is and pretty happy at keeping Arrowhead in that parking lot. So I would expect that for the Chiefs. They've made no final decisions, but based off the family history, based on what you saw in the championship ring, based off of all we've heard from Clark Hunt, I'd be very surprised if the Chiefs make any sort of move or attempt to make any sort of move out of that parking lot like the Royals appear to be attempting to do.
All righty, Jesse, you just give me a number. That's all I want. I asked you this about a month ago. What are the odds the Royals lose 100 games?
99.9%.
You knew that question was coming, didn't you?
I was wrong.
For what it's worth, last time Jesse was on, Jesse, you said 20%.
I think the time before I said 5. So
10 before that. You've gone 10, 20, 99.9. I'm tracking all this.
I saw it out there today. The Royals have to go over 500 to not lose 100 games now. So 99.9.
Yeah,
there
it ain't
have it.
happening.
Mea culpa.
Jesse, you're the best, man. I love it. Appreciate you coming on and talking plenty of Chiefs. And hopefully our Royals will get better. Jesse, thank you so much, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star. Jesse,
he had that locked and loaded.
He was ready for it, man. I'm telling you, Jesse's one of the smartest guys I know. That dude is sharper than a tack. He really, really is. Coming up, we will get to our list, and then we'll get to more of the Big 12 preseason poll. Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake Laban along with Fulton Caster with you. And the preseason Big 12 poll has been released. That is right. We now know who is going to win the Big 12. Fulton, we don't even need to play the season. We know who's going to win. We're going to talk drink specials. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on our text line. What is your favorite drink special? Do we include like way back in the day, or does that not count anymore?
What do you mean?
Like 25 cent, 25 cent night at the ranch, that type of thing. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
I think it needs to be a drink special you yourself have experienced.
So it can
even if it is
like
discontinued, you yourself must have experienced said special. Okay. So you yourself can say quarter night at the ranch. I didn't experience it. I can't pick that. That sounds cool. I didn't experience it. I think that should be the barometer here.
So what we want is just I say your college, because most people did this when they were in college.
But you don't have to have done this in college.
Yeah, you maybe you'd like to tie one off on 11 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. That's all right. So we will get to that plus much more, some college realignment talk as well. We might get into more of the Big 12 poll at the bottom of the hour, but the Big 12 poll has been released and it is overwhelming. Fulton, Texas is back. Overwhelming. They end up the preseason Big 12 champ. Texas number 1 with 41 first place votes. K-State. That's right. We're talking K-State. That's my best Charlie Weiss impression there. 14 first place votes. Oklahoma number 3. 4 first place votes. Number 4, Texas Tech got 4 first place votes. Number 5, TCU got 3 first place votes. Number 6, Baylor. Number 7, Oklahoma State got a first place vote.
That particular person, I want to find and ask them how much Mike Gundy pays them on a daily basis.
Number 8, UCF. Number 9, Kansas. Number 10, Iowa State. 11, BYU. Number 12, Houston. Number 13, Cincinnati. And number 14, West Virginia. That is your preseason poll. First thing that jumps out to me here is just how overwhelming people are going with Texas. And I've seen a lot of people here recently say that if Texas doesn't win this league, it is a massive failure. They have the best talent when it comes to the recruiting numbers, the rankings, the stars, the all of it.
Yeah.
They've got their quarterback coming back in Quinn Ewers, and if he stinks, well, they got Arch Manning waiting in the wings. But Texas, 41 first place votes.
Good for them.
I couldn't put Texas number 1 simply because I need to see Texas do it.
That's fair.
Now they did last year. They didn't make the title game, obviously, because K-State beat TCU, but they finished 3rd.
Yeah.
And they had a little hiccup there in the middle of the year. Quinn Ewers got hurt a little bit. But they've got, I mean, this is, if you want to say it is Texas and the field, it is Texas and the field right now. That is according to the media. Now, we don't know where all these people put where these people come from. Okay. 41 people might be from Texas. Brendan, I know, would put Texas number 1. He is. He says they got the most, because he told us there during the break. I don't know if they put together their list yesterday, but Texas, he would have them number 1. I could not do that. I had K-State number 1. I had Oklahoma and Texas flipped in this situation simply because I think Texas's schedule is much tougher than Oklahoma's. And I think that Oklahoma will have a little bit of a bounce back on the defensive side of things because they were awful.
Horrible.
I mean, awful.
Horrible.
So I had Oklahoma winning it. K-State, I think there's a couple holes left, but for the first time in forever, K-State getting a lot of respect here. 14 first place votes. All right. That is the same amount of first place votes for everybody not named Texas. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, TCU, and Oklahoma State does not get to 14. So they think, and when you look at, I always like to see the total amounts to kind of see, okay, groupings. Pretty much everybody had Texas and K-State 1-2.
Yeah. Seemed to be a fairly big consensus that K-State and Texas are your top 2 teams.
If you have 886 points and then K-State is 858, I mean, that is a difference of less than 40, okay? Yeah. Whereas K-State has 858, Oklahoma has 758.
That's a 100-point difference.
Yes.
There was a clear separation between the Wildcats and the rest of the field.
Yes. So it went, if you want to put Texas, K-State kind of together because they're only 30 points difference, then I'm okay with that. And that's really, I mean, honestly, what is it? 28 points difference is what it is. Yeah. So that's pretty close. So if you had Texas 1, you had Kansas State 2.
Yeah.
Or if you had K-State 1, if you were one of the 14,
you had Texas 2.
Then you had Texas 2. So that's basically what we know of this, what at least the media thinks. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and TCU are the top 5. And there's no bones about that.
Yeah.
There's a clear-cut top 5.
Yeah, because the difference between 5 and 6 is a sizable gap.
Is massive.
There is a clear-cut consensus among the media. Yeah. Top 5 in this conference.
It's a 150-point difference.
Yeah.
TCU is, three ballots switched around, and they're at 4, and Texas Tech is at 5. Oklahoma, 20 points higher than Texas Tech, 30 points higher from TCU. So, but those three pretty similar. But yeah, 727 points for TCU to 6th with Baylor at 572. And Baylor's in its own category.
Yeah, Baylor gets its own little spot in the middle there.
Baylor just hanging out, drinking Dr. Peppers. Then you've got Oklahoma State at number 7 with 470 votes. Central Florida at 463. And KU at 461.
And those three are they're in their own little grouping right there.
They are in their own little grouping. And to be honest with you, the one vote to get Oklahoma State a first place vote is the separation between Oklahoma State being 7, UCF being 8, and KU being 9. Mm-hmm. We had, you and me, Fulton, we had Oklahoma State, I had them at 9. You had them at 10. And in this poll, they are at 7. The number one vote got them to 7. Otherwise, they would be at 9 behind Kansas, essentially.
Yeah.
So that person who voted Oklahoma
That
State,
media member in Stillwater who's best friends and golfs with Mike Gundy every Sunday is the reason that they are at 7.
Look, Oklahoma State.
I just want to find that person, have them look me straight in the eyes and tell me why they think Oklahoma State will finish first in this conference. I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
Oklahoma State finishing first. If you have them finishing 7th, I have no problem with that.
No, that's
I have
fine.
no problem.
That's perfectly fine.
If you have them finishing, to me, the highest that, I'm going to go with, what is it, Pawn Stars, best offer, best I can give is 5th. That's the best I can do. I can't give them above 5th. And the reason why is because Oklahoma has Dylan Gabriel.
Yep.
K-State has Will Howard.
Yep.
Texas has
Quinn Ewers or Archman.
Yeah. I can't pick you above 5. TCU, like the highest I can give them is 5. That is it. I cannot go any higher than 5 with Oklahoma
Texas
State.
Tech has Tyler Shuck.
Because Oklahoma State, their quarterback situation. Now, Alan Bowman is kind of scheduled to be their quarterback.
Yeah.
Alan Bowman played at Texas Tech.
Yeah, Alan Bowman is a mighty fine football player.
Yeah.
It's also the reason Alan Bowman's on his 3rd or 4th school.
Yes, facts.
There's a reason for that.
I just can't see Oklahoma State being the biggest shockers for me is that Texas got 41 first place votes and everybody else combined got, 30 essentially. No, not even 30, 28 first place votes. 12 first place votes. So 26 first place votes. And then Oklahoma State got a first place vote. Can I see a world where TCU gets a couple? Yes. Texas Tech getting 4 seems like a bit of a stretch, to be honest with you. Oklahoma, yes. K-State, yes. Surprised it's 41 for Texas. I think KU is perfectly slotted at number 9. I have no issues with that.
I'm fine with that. I had them at 6, but that was kind of I like the high water mark for the Hawks. You had them at 8. So that's a perfectly fine spot for Kansas.
Yes.
And right in there, and those are the teams they should be in there with. UCF, a team they can compete with. Oklahoma State, a team that they can compete with. But being, clearly above the Iowa States, the BYUs, the Houstons, the Cincinnati's, West Virginias. KU is slotted in perfectly fine, given their new standing in the world. And not being the doormat of the conference, but still not being a high-level program just yet.
Iowa State coming in at 10. And Iowa State and BYU kind of close, separated by just 15 votes. So most people had them on average around 10 and 11. Kansas, UCF, Oklahoma kind of together. And then it was Houston, Cincinnati, no question, 12 and 13. Very, very close. And then congratulations, West Virginia. You are now Kansas. You are 80 points behind Cincinnati.
Yeah.
What?
Welcome to being the doormat of the conference, West Virginia. It isn't a fun place to be.
I mean,
but it's not wrong though. At least for this season.
No, I had Cincinnati there because of a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
I had West Virginia because I do wonder, and if you really look at this, oh wow, the Big 12 is expanding. Yep, and the teams that they brought in are 11th, 12th, 13th, and 8th. Not exactly bringing in big time, but the hope is that, hey, now that you're in a big pond, that UCF will get better. BYU will get better. Houston will get better. Cincinnati will return to what they were, because the Cincinnati many people thought we were getting was the Cincinnati that, made it to a college football playoff. So that is the Big 12 football media preseason poll. Texas, K-State, Oklahoma 1, 2, 3. Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor 4, 5, 6. Oklahoma State, Central, UCF 8. Kansas 9, and then 10 through 14 go Iowa State, 11 BYU, 12 Houston, 13 Cincinnati, 14 West Virginia. I had Oklahoma, K-State, Texas, 1, 2, 3. So flipping Oklahoma and Texas. Number 4, I had TCU, number 4. Number 5, I had Texas Tech. So flip those two. And then I did get Baylor correct at number 6. UCF-KU and Oklahoma State.
You
7,
just need
8,
to shift
9.
Oklahoma State up, and you'd have that perfectly correct in a row.
Somebody decided to go Oklahoma State with a 1 vote.
I just want to talk. That's all. I just want to talk.
Do they got a lot of guys coming back on defense?
No!
I thought they did.
They might, but they're not good players. Like, listen, I will be honest and check myself. Maybe my anti-Oklahoma State, anti-Mike Gundy bias is part of the reason I think the Cowboys will be so bad this year. But watch that team play football last year, even when they had Spencer Sanders. Even when they supposedly had their good players. That team isn't good. Like, I don't know what Alan Bowman's going to be like in year 1 under Mike Gundy. What is that going to look like? But then once again, if Alan Bowman doesn't work, like let's say for whatever reason, Alan Bowman doesn't work as the quarterback at Oklahoma State, the options behind him are bleak. Because those options behind him, Gunnar Gundy and Garrett Rangel, got housed by Kansas. Got housed by Kansas without Jalen Daniels. Was so bad, Gunnar Gundy's hands were shaking. Like, that's my thing with Oklahoma State, is I don't know what that offense is going to look like at all. And I don't know what that entire team's going to look like. And I think the game is going past Mike Gundy. I think we are in the twilight years of the Mike Gundy era, and it's not going to end pretty. And like I said, maybe it's my anti-Oklahoma State, anti-Mike Gundy bias checking in here, and I'm completely out of touch. But it just feels insane to think this is going to be, like, this team will be around that 7 to 10 spot. Like, they'll be right there with UCF and Kansas, but they're not going to compete for, like, what they're competing for this year is to try and be 6-6. That's what Oklahoma State's competing for this year. They're not competing for anything else.
Kansas State, from our good friend Kels Robinette, is picked the highest they've ever been in the preseason poll since the Big 12 got rid of divisions. Number 2. And they, it's hard to say because, they lost their original starting quarterback in Adrian Martinez, but they returned the quarterback that, essentially, Will Howard Wally pipped.
He did.
Adrian Martinez.
I still can't believe we live in this universe.
I will forever remember Will Howard just throwing absolute darts against TCU.
I will never forget that because I watched that game and was like, what am I seeing?
Like, what is happening right now? And the only reason I think K-State lost that game is because Howard went down and then Rubley came in.
Yeah,
and
Rubley was not the move.
One of the worst passes I've ever seen, and it was an interception.
Yeah.
And then I still didn't like Kleiman's game management there. I did not like Chris Kleiman deciding to go
turtle,
and then kick the field goal there, at the end of the game. I did not like that at all. I did not like that. If you're going to throw it, chuck it deep at least.
Yeah.
With Rubley. So that did not go well there.
No.
But there's only 2 things that surprised me with this poll. That's it. It's Texas getting 41 votes just because I need you to see it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Great. You've got all the talent in the world, and maybe you
maybe me and Oklahoma State are you in Texas.
Me and Texas.
I really think that's where we're at here.
Yes.
I think that's where we're at here.
And so that's why I looked at that and go, this is a Texas thing. But outside of that, like Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, do I think Oklahoma State can finish 7th? Yes, I do. Just that first place vote is stupid.
Yeah,
Central Florida,
7th.
Florida's got a great schedule. Of course, I can see them finishing 8th. So I don't have a lot of what people who voted in this are very similar to me, except for because Oklahoma is just not what they once were with Lincoln Riley, and Texas has never done it, makes this year so much more unique. And I love it. I think it's fantastic.
It's going to be fun.
That, and you were right about West Virginia. They are
Told you.
DFL.
Duty. Absolute booty.
DFL. I just now looked at the clock, Fulton.
Yeah, we need a break here, Jake.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and then we'll do our list at the end of the hour, or to start the bottom of the hour, okay?
Okay.
Because we went way too long, and I love college football. It's my favorite sport. I love all this kind of chatter. I'm so excited for next week that I got to rambling, and that happens. Ask my wife. So we'll take a quick break. In fact, coming up next will be the markets, and then we will have our list of drinking specials. Everyone loves the list on this Thursday.
A little later than normal because
that's all right.
we got a little rambly.
But we got to talk. We're going to get to more, a little bit about how they break this down. Schedule matters now. This is back like we got divisions. Remember when KU went to the Orange Bowl?
Oh, yeah, I do.
No, you're supposed to say people forget that.
Oh, sorry. I messed with that. That's on me. You know what? That's on me. Under the chest pat here. That's on me.
All righty.
No one's me.
They didn't play the top 3 teams in the South. And
it was
Texas
very fun.
Yes. So your schedule matters. It does. We're going to get to that right here in a little bit. But our list right now is it is going to be our favorite drink specials. Okay. That's it. Drink
Simple
specials.
as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me. I normally do not like this particular way of drinking, but you know what? If I need to have myself a very good night and get myself a little loosey-goosey on a budget, nothing beats the $1 shot. Because even if you have to sometimes take a little bit more to get there because they're like really, really sugary, it's still a very, very efficient way of getting the job done.
Well, I didn't put that on there because I'm not a shot guy.
I'm not either.
I'm not going to pay $1 for sugar.
That's fair.
I can go get a sucker for 25 cents and get the same thing. I can't do it. My number 4, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Non-alcoholic.
Oh.
It's half-price Sonic drinks at their happy hour, man. Come on. I can get a 99-cent Route 44 cherry limeade.
Brother, that's awesome.
Come on.
That's awesome.
The dad in me right there is just the 99-cent. What happy hour was it from like 2 to 3? Something like that. At
I don't know.
2 to 4.
If you have the Sonic app, it's half-price happy hour all the time. It's true.
Wait, what?
If you order your meal in the Sonic app, their drinks are half price all the time.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Fulton dropping some stuff on me that I had no idea. Are you serious?
Yes. During the next break, I will show you.
Do you have it on your phone?
Yeah.
Why don't I have this?
We're taking it. Okay. We're taking a 30-second. We're taking a short from the list for a minute.
Right now, Fulton, I am furious at you.
What?
How come you didn't tell me about this?
I thought you knew.
No.
I do. If it is possible for me to order ahead through an app for any place, I will always do it. I want to fight you. I don't know how you didn't know this.
No, I did not know this.
Well, you now know.
Anyways, that's my number.
Either way, my number 3 to get us back on track here. This is at multiple establishments. This is a consistent one, but it's great any place you go to. Give me the $4 pint. You give me a $4 pint, I will have a good time. Because normally we're looking at like for certain things, we have like 6 or 7, so we're getting a little closer there. Yeah, give me the $4 pint.
My is going back to my college days at a local establishment here in Topeka. It no longer exists. But if you went in and you paid $10 for the cover and you got a cup and you could fill that cup up, and we're talking like it was like a 12-ounce cup. Everything you filled that thing up with was $1.
Nice.
We'd get in there at like 8 o'clock.
That's a move right there.
And stay till 2. I was not a sound mind and body.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it was a $10 cover. And there were times where we would get there before the cover. And then it would just, and we would have our drink from another day, like a week prior to it. And so it was just the dollar drinks the entire time.
That's fair. Number 2 for me, I've spent many a time at the Old Chicago in Wichita, Kansas doing trivia nights.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock, they do late night. $6 you call it. $6 whatever you want behind the bar. Greatest thing ever.
Okay.
Because that last hour, I am having a great time.
One of my favorite bars in the entire world is called the Moose Jaw, and it's in Colorado.
Sure, I'll pretend that's a real place.
No, it is. It's my favorite bar. One of my favorite bars. And they have $4 pitchers.
That's the move.
And they only have 4 beers on tap. That's it. I mean, this is a hole in the wall joint, okay? But this place is amazing. $4 pitchers of PBR. It is delicious.
That's a great call. Number 1 for me was easy. I don't know if they're still doing this. If they are, I need to go back.
Okay.
There is a lovely, lovely small Mexican joint in Lawrence that did $5 margaritas. And not just big margaritas for $5. When I tell you, me and the boys would just take our trip over there and have a very good time. The greatest drink special in the world. Large margaritas for $5. No matter what time of day you went there, $5 margaritas consistently. We spent a lot of time over there. If they still do it, I got to go back.
My number one drink special, and Fulton, we're on the same line, except for here in Topeka. I don't know if they still do it because I don't do it anymore because I can't. But there was a time when it got rowdy. Everybody knows. I'm not going to say the establishment because there are kind of a few of them around here. But they had 99-cent margaritas.
Oh, boy.
And the amount of times that we would have 15 to 20 margarita glasses on our table at one, we would order them 2 at a time.
Yeah, of course.
99-cent margaritas.
Yeah.
And they'd be on the rocks with salt or frozen.
Oh, frozen margaritas are good, man.
With salt. And it was 99 cents. I mean, you want to talk about bang for your buck. 99-cent margaritas, still to this day, one of the greatest drink specials of all time.
There's nothing better than cheap margaritas. Nothing better.
Now,
because while I might not drink margaritas all the time, you give me a cheap margarita, I'm in a good place.
Now, I will tell you this. 99-cent margaritas maybe don't taste as good as your $5 margarita.
Yeah, I can't imagine the quality on yours is the same quality of mine, but you're going for quantity at that point. Well,
the frozen ones were pretty good.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
But you get them flavored. You get them strawberry.
Have you ever had a watermelon margarita? Just while we're here. While we're here.
I probably have.
Okay.
Big fan of the peach margarita.
Peach margaritas are good. Margarita. They're really good.
But man, 99-cent margarita. And they were, 10-ounce margaritas.
Yeah.
You get 50 ounces of margaritas for $5. You know how big 50 ounces is?
When I tell you, I wouldn't be
that's bigger than a big gulp.
When I tell you, I wouldn't be able to confidently get myself home after that. That's true.
No, we always had to have a DD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
today's day and age, you call the Uber.
Yeah, nowadays, y'all lucky. Just make sure your car is locked and parked in a semi-okay area and go back and get it the next morning. You gotta do is call an Uber. Huggy Bear, what the heck are you doing? Come on, man. But you were clearly well above the. Do you think Huggins even has Uber on his phone?
I don't know, man.
No, he doesn't. No way.
He doesn't need Uber. He has enough friends that anybody in the city of Morgantown, West Virginia, he could call. Granted, I know he wasn't in Morgantown at that time.
No, he thought he was in Columbus.
Yeah.
Real quick, who's the oldest person that you know that has Uber on their phone? What's the age?
Oh, I don't know many older folk. Because I can promise you my dad doesn't, because he doesn't have apps. My dad doesn't work technology.
Loves apps, not that kind of app.
No, yeah. I mean, maybe my mom does.
Like, do you think anybody over the age of 55 has Uber on their phone?
I bet a select few do. Some do. We just got to start taking a poll around the office here. You got to do a lap.
I wonder, like Uber's fantastic.
Because, I mean, do I don't know if I still do.
I've got Uber on my phone.
Oh, it's not currently installed, but it's sitting on my home screen waiting to be installed.
Yeah.
I offloaded it for some space.
Oh, okay.
I went with a while back with a move that it offloads things I don't use.
What's the oldest person that you know that has Uber? It's interesting.
That's a good question.
Coming up next, we'll get a quick timeout. I want to talk a little bit about the Big 12 poll and I now have come up with the reason why someone has Oklahoma State with the first place vote.
Okay.
We'll get to that next.
How did you not know this?
Nobody told me. You guys kept
Do
it to yourself.
you not watch
You're all-
advertisements?
You're all selfish.
Sonic has 100% with their TV ads pointed out that you can get half price drinks all the time.
Man, I got two
in the
kids
Sonic
right now,
app.
man. I don't see anything but the back of
Well-
my eyelids.
Now, like I said, you got to order the drink individually. It's not like, if you load your little combo, they give you a little discount on it. They don't. It's got to be individual.
Do you have to pay for it individually, or can you order like 4 drinks at the same time and get them all half price?
As far as as long as they're individual drinks you're
Yeah.
buying, you're good. Yeah. Like you could right now on the way home from work get drinks half price for you and the family and bring them home. They're all half price. Just got to order ahead in Sonic app.
Well, I thought we were friends.
How was I supposed to know you didn't know this?
You should have just been like, man, I got Sonic half price drinks the other day. How awesome is that?
Well, it's because I don't just go to Sonic for half price drinks all the time. I don't.
I'm so furious right now. At myself, at you, at everybody. I thought we were friends here, guys. I'm mad at the
I
text
didn't
line.
know you didn't know.
I'm mad at the text line right now.
I didn't know you didn't know.
I live like it's a long par 5 from Sonic. I spend way too much money at Sonic, but now I will spend half as much money at Sonic.
Yeah, always just gotta use your app.
Alrighty. I have looked, and I always try to, I don't try to jump or judge it too quick, because I at least try to give me a reason why you say what you say, right?
Yeah.
Give me a reason why you put Oklahoma State number 1. I think I found out why. Okay. And here's why. This is, can I actually get an understanding of why? They lose 8 of 10 on defense. They lose their top 2 running backs. They lost their quarterback. They do return their leading receiver. They return a bunch of their own line.
Mm-hmm.
I think they only have one starter not back, their left tackle. But here is why. Okay. Oklahoma State, they play two of the top 6 teams in the Big 12. That's it. Here's the Cowboys that they don't play. According to the preseason poll, they do not play the team picked to win the league, Texas. They are not going to play the 4th best team, Texas Tech. They're not going to play the 5th best team, TCU. They're not going to play the 6th best team in Baylor. That means that Oklahoma State plays 2 of the top 8 teams in the Big 12 because they are 7th. They play K-State and Oklahoma State, or K-State and Oklahoma. Then they play pretty much everybody else. They play Central Florida. They play Kansas. They play Iowa State. They play BYU, and that's at home. They play Houston. They play Cincinnati. And they play West Virginia. They play teams 8 through 14. Shoom, all the way down. UCF, yes. Kansas, yes. Iowa State, they lead it off at Iowa State. BYU, Houston, Cincinnati. Well, yeah. I mean, this is their final stretch. You ready for this? This is Oklahoma State's final stretch. Kansas, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, UCF, Houston, BYU. They play one top level team their final 7 games. It's Oklahoma. It's at home. And Oklahoma ain't Oklahoma normally.
Yeah. No, that does.
That's the
yeah.
That's why I can say they picked.
You think if you were to try to get the logic that you could get you there, it would be they have a very soft schedule, and that therefore they'll rack up some wins and be able to be a higher level team in this conference. Yeah, I mean, in theory, you are correct.
That's the only way because you lose so much from last year, unless you think Alan Bowman is that dude. So,
and like I said, there's a reason he's on like his 88th school. Because he was Texas Tech, then somewhere else, now Oklahoma State.
Now, I also want to point this out, and this is why I had KU where they're at. I haven't looked at it enough in depth to see, but KU plays the top 4 teams in this conference. They play Texas, they play K-State, they play Oklahoma, and they play Texas Tech. That is who Kansas State plays this year. And then if you add on to it, they do not play TCU or Baylor. Okay? So they play 1, 2, 3, 4, but then they play 7, 8, 9, they're 9, 10, and 11. They don't, Kansas does not get to play the 3 worst teams in, oh, wait, no, they end with Cincinnati. I beg your pardon. I apologize.
I'm pretty sure they play Cincinnati.
They don't play Houston or West Virginia.
No.
So they have to play teams 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10. That is difficult. Is there any other team that plays K-State, Texas, and Oklahoma? Is there any other team that does that?
I think one other team plays both Texas and Oklahoma.
Iowa State does. Congratulations, Iowa State. I have you too high. They're at Jeepers. They are at K-State, tough place to play, at BYU, at Baylor, and then they play Texas at home. They play Oklahoma on the road. Woof. But they don't play Texas Tech. They play TCU and Baylor. Maybe Iowa State has a tougher stretch there. Woof. They play 1 Texas, 2 K-State, 3 Oklahoma. They do not play TCU, but they play Texas Tech. Or they play TCU, not Texas Tech. So they play 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 in Baylor. Yeah, they play 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. KU and Iowa State got the absolute shaft when it comes to the schedule. Iowa State plays Cincinnati, but doesn't play West Virginia or Houston. Schedule matters. That's why. Oklahoma's schedule. Now I'll look this up real quick as we're rolling past the time again. I understand that. Oklahoma, they play Cincinnati, West Virginia. So they play the 2 worst teams. They don't play Houston. They play BYU, Iowa State, Kansas, and UCF. Like, they got a cake schedule.
They do, and it could help. Don't know if it will, but it could.
They do not play teams number 2, team number 4, team number 6 on their schedule. That helps a lot.
Isn't it nice we're back in the universe to where there are some teams you won't play every year?
In some situations, I like it. Some years, I think it's absolutely stupid. I think K-State and Oklahoma not playing is the dumbest thing out there. They're Big 8 schools, man. They need to play each other. It's stupid. I hate it. Coming up, we'll talk a little NFL and Chris Jones numbers. hour of Mic'd Up on this Thursday. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. We've got Royals baseball coming up tonight. They are taking on Cleveland. Doesn't matter who's pitching. The Royals are probably going to lose. But 6:10 first pitch, 5:30 pregame coverage. We got start bench cut coming up. We'll talk more Royals baseball here in a little bit. Wanted to get to this and let us know on the text line. 785-272-9429 from the text line. This is a back in the day tweet here. From the text line, the touchdown 18 bar in Aggieville, 1971-72, had $5 Tuesdays. Pay $5 when you walk in. All the draft beer you can drink is covered.
Oh boy, I could have had some fun with that.
Holy smokes. Although $5 back in 71-72 was a lot.
Fair point. Talking inflation.
Yeah. Also, he says, and you know a 70-year-old with Uber on his phone. There we go.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of reports that some of the older folks out there got the Uber. So, Jake, take that.
Yeah. I like
take that.
Somebody told me that I've had too many 99-cent margaritas. That's
true.
Facts. That is facts. The only time my phone has an app on it is when I spill skillet queso from Chili's on it.
Skillet queso.
Oh, that's well
I haven't
done.
been to a Chili's in a while.
That's well done. That is well done. That's well done.
When's the last time you've been to a Chili's?
I've probably been there here within the last 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
Have you seen that one video where they basically say that they are Applebee's, but a different version of Applebee's?
I've not, but that's true. Chili's and Applebee's are just like
so you've got
twins of each other.
So you got Applebee's, and they say this is Chili's is Mexican Applebee's.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you've got, Red Lobster is seafood Applebee's.
Yeah, it's true.
And they just go on and on and on. Like each one of them is just, P.F. Chang's is Chinese Applebee's.
Yeah.
That I thought that was kind of funny. Like they're just
it's a good bit. It's a good bit.
A generic version of Applebee's.
You can do a tight 5 on that.
Olive Garden is
Italian Applebee's.
So
listen, doggone Olive Garden all you want. Unlimited breadsticks hits. Hits hard.
Cheesecake Factory is steroid Applebee's.
Yeah, that's true.
It was really funny.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a good opener for a set.
Yeah.
It's a good opener for a set. Is what a version things are just all different versions of Applebee's.
Cracker Barrel is country Applebee's.
Love Cracker Barrel. I love the Cracker Barrel, and I don't care who knows it.
I'm trying to I think that's basically the just thought that was kind of funny. Anyways, keep them coming on our text line. If you missed it, the Big 12 poll is out. Texas at the top, number 1. K-State number 2, Kansas number 9. Normally, Kansas would be about number 9.
Yeah.
Or 10.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's a lot more schools involved. So they still stay at that 9 or 10. Like last year, what was KU picked? Were they picked
10th?
They were picked 10th?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty confident.
I don't know.
I can't tell you the last time KU was not picked last.
I want trying to find the Big 12 last year's poll. Gonna be kind of difficult. They did have Kansas 10.
Yeah, like I literally couldn't tell you the last time KU was not last place.
Well, they are not last.
It's this year. I mean, this year's the most recent year now, but
That's
like before this year, it had been a while since they were last place.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to talk a little Chris Jones. July 6th, Still not worried, Fulton.
Nope.
1 to 10.
5. I told you my timeline, or at least like until we hit training camp, until that starts. So about 3 more weeks, 2 more weeks, whatever. Until that point, it's just on Quentin Williams. That's it. When we get to training camp, we can start maybe raising that concern-o-meter a little bit. But until then, we're just waiting on Quentin Williams.
It says here, Forbes puts this out. It says, Jones might not be able to reach Donald's average annual value of more than 30. Simmons might be a better comparison. Perhaps Jones could command a 4-year, $95 million deal. If Simmons just signed a 4-year, $94 million deal, I don't think one more million is going to work. I just don't see that. That's why I think the starting price is 4 years, $100 million. But, and this is the big but, okay? What matters is guaranteed money, okay? Guaranteed money is what matters the most, okay? Simmons signed 4 years, 94. Maybe you do give Aaron Donald 4 years, 95. So it is more than that. Simmons's guaranteed money was $59 million. You're not going below that number. You're not. Would you be okay with this? Instead of a 4-year deal, it's a 3-year deal worth $80 million. And $60 million or what? All of it's guaranteed. 3 years, $80 million. It's not the 30 per year. You know, it's not going to be 20. It'll be, you know, a little bit under 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
You say we are riding or die with our man, Chris Jones.
No, that'd be a deal I could get on board with.
$26 million, which is well more than anybody else is making. But the problem is you can't space out the cap without that 4th year.
Yeah.
Then you can space out the cap a little bit more because you got more years. Maybe they do void years though. Like there's so many different ways that they can do this. And I saw this good friend of the show, Seth Keister, tweeted this out. And it says here, most quarterback pressures over the last 3 years. Who has the most? I don't know if you saw me tweet this out.
I've glanced at it briefly. I think it's TJ Watt.
It is. It is TJ Watt with 126. Guys on this list. Nick Bosa, 110. Matthew Judon, 116. Our good friend Max Crosby, 121. Myles Garrett, 122. The most quarterback pressures over the last 3 years. Chris Jones is on this list. By the way, Aaron Donald, 102. 124. Chris Jones is second in the NFL over the last 3 years at pressuring the quarterback. And this dude is a defensive tackle mainly. Last year, played a little bit at the edge. Big shout out. AFC title game. I don't know if this includes postseason sack or postseason pressures. But TJ Watt at 126, Chris Jones at 124, Myles Garrett at 122, Max Crosby at 121. Aaron Donald 102 despite having a down year last year because he was hurt. He's 29. How old is TJ Watt?
Oh, probably 27, 26.
He's 28.
28. Oh, he's a little older than I thought.
This is where I'm on. I'm going to go full Teddy KGB from one of the greatest movies of all time. Have you seen Rounders?
As we've been over this, no. It's like the 5th time we've had this exact conversation.
Summer of Fulton has a new thing.
Gotta watch Rounders.
Do you like poker?
Yeah.
You like Hold'em?
Yeah.
Do you like movies?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going?
Watch Rounders.
Let's do it. Let's watch Rounders.
Okay.
Let's watch Rounders.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to go to the Evil Knievel Museum?
I have not.
Okay. Let's throw in. You can watch Rounders for next week. Next week.
Okay.
Watch Rounders.
Okay.
It's awesome. In fact, I'll watch it too because it's a great movie.
Okay.
But pay him. Like just pay him his money. He's so worth it. Quit trying to be, the smartest man in the room at all times. Just sometimes the simple decision is the one that is sitting right in front of you and smacks you in the face with a 2x4. Pay Chris Jones. There's no one out there right now that can give you that return if you are in the NFL right now. There's nobody there. Pay Chris Jones. He wants to be here. He's still only 29 years old. Give him a 4-year deal, $100 million. It's 25 per year. We just talked with Jesse Newell. 23 right now is the average annual. If that's what he wants right now, give him that money. Give him 4 years, $110 million with $60 million guaranteed. Average annual value is $26 million or $27 million. Give it to him. I think, and you know me, I am very cautious on who am I giving.
Yeah,
money.
You're not a just spend for. You're not of the John Dorsey just hand out the money like it's candy.
No, I was on the side of I don't know if I'd pay Tyrann Mathieu. I definitely was on the let Orlando Brown go. I mean, they're not paying for Juju. They didn't. Then they could have afforded him. Like they're very frugal, if you will, for the Kansas City Chiefs. But you pay top tier talent. If you give Chris Jones a big contract, that's not a bad contract.
No,
he's going to have juice for the next 3 years. After that, then he won't. So that's where I'm at with, he's not Aaron Donald, but last year he was better than Aaron Donald. So that's why, just like in any profession, in order to keep quality people, you got to pay for them.
True.
Look at it. You got D-end, and then Aaron Donald, one of the greatest top 5 defensive player of all time. Yes, I will say that. Yeah. Aaron Donald, D-end. There are 2 guys who are not defensive ends, and one of them is Chris Jones. He's 29 years old. Give him a 4-year deal. Figure out the cap space, how you want to work. If you want to throw in void years, you want to do all that stuff, don't care. He needs to be on this team. And he will be this upcoming year.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
You already missed your chance to trade. You ready to, okay, Chris Jones. I'll trade Chris Jones straight up for Micah Parsons. There we go. Sweet. We'll take Micah Parsons. You can have Chris Jones. If we're going to do like a trade for trade type of situation. Micah Parsons, he's only been in the league 2 years, right?
This should be his 3rd.
So, yeah, he doesn't count in this list. That's where I was wondering where he was at.
Yeah.
He might be up there if you had the last
He's good.
2 years.
He's good. He's very good.
I'm wondering that now. Micah Parsons. He had 67 last year. Holy smokes. That's a lot.
Yeah, he good. Already at 26.5 career sacks.
I'm trying to see if we can't get the more specific number.
I'll say pressures according to Pro Football Reference. He's at 88 for his career in 2 seasons.
So you add another, let's say another. I mean, he'd be number 1 next year.
Yeah, he's gone 47 and 41. So add another 40 to that. He'd be at 128.
Yeah,
He'd
so
be more than what TJ Watt has in his 3-year stretch.
He'd be.
Yeah.
You know,
Kid's good.
So
Kid
yeah,
is
there
good.
you go. But you pay those people.
Yeah, no, you pay those men.
I always have to keep telling myself it's a negotiating tactic. That is why they're doing this.
That's all it is.
It's a negotiating situation.
Listen to what me and Matt Derrick and everyone else is trying to tell you. Do not start worrying until we start getting into training camp. Until that calendar rolls into August, we're going through, because step 1 is how quickly does he get to training camp? That's step 1 in the next process. Because if he shows up like 4 days into training camp, we good. That's fine. But if we go through like a week, 2 weeks of training camp, still not hearing from Chris Jones, then we can start getting a little worried. That calendar has to have the month of August on it before you should start getting worried about this. There should be no worry for the month of July. Not a worry at all. Just process. They'll be good. They'll get it done. They'll get something done. I have faith.
I do too, because this is too much. Like I could understand the Tyreek Hill situation, because when you pay the quarterback, you have to feel like your quarterback can make everyone around you better.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Okay. He made everybody better. He made Juju better. He made, Justin Watson's catching, Cook and JC Jackson.
Yeah.
Your guy.
Yeah. That was interesting.
I was a Jackson fan myself too, but not on the level of you.
Still love him. Still great.
Now he wasn't on the level of Kyle Isbell though. Is anybody who's on the level of Kyle Isbell love for Fulton Caster?
Man, the meminess of me and the Kyle Isbell fan club, I don't know. Especially outside of guys that aren't good, the jokes are really few and far between.
But that's your guy. Is there
love Kyle?
Who's your guy?
My Kel gets to be up there. I was pounding this table for my Kel for over a year.
But Isbell was like your first crush.
Kyle was early, because also I was having to defend him to several people of just all those factors.
Who is your Kyle Isbell for the Chiefs? Is there one?
Boy.
Is there?
I don't know if there is one, because they're just all good players.
McDuffie might be.
Actually, no, it's Trent. Because since Trent was drafted, I was very early on the Chiefs might have found themselves an All-Pro.
I know you were.
I was early on that. Trent's the guy.
Close, but I don't know if he's on the level of.
I don't know if he is, but Trent is my Chiefs victory lap if this all keeps going. Because within a month after the draft, and I started watching more and more and seeing what he could do, I was like, oh yeah, this is an All-Pro. This is an All-Pro level player at corner.
I hope that's the case.
I still think it is. He's so good. He is so good.
Coming up next, start, bench, and cut here on Mic'd Up. Start, bench, and cut. Fulton, I give you the top 3 coaches in the Big 12 preseason poll: Steve Sarkisian, Chris Kleiman, or Brent Venables.
The easiest part to this is I'm starting Chris Kleiman.
Okay.
Easiest part, we're not taking it. Just if you don't say that answer, you're just literally wrong at this exercise. There's not often wrong answers in this exercise. That is a wrong answer if Chris is not your top one. After that, I think I bench Sark, cut Venables, because I've watched Sark at least put semi-competent football on the field. Brent Venables' first season in Oklahoma, you shouldn't ever go 6-7 at Oklahoma. Like, that's... I don't know. Like, I'm pretty confident Sark is not a long-term head coach for his place, but I've at least seen him make his football team look good. I got no confidence Brent Venables as an actual head coach. I have no confidence in the world that he can do the job.
They lost in the Cheez-It Bowl last year to Florida State 35-32. Man, they gave up so many points.
And that's my big thing. Like, Venables is supposed to be this great defensive mastermind. Players aside, how does a Brent Venables run defense give up that many points? I don't know. I'm not sold on Venables. I'm like, again, not saying I'm sold on Sark either. I don't think Sark is a good head coach. But if I'm picking between those two, I probably just lean Sark. So like, at least he's done it more, and I know he's semi-competent. Where I got no faith in that Venables knows how to run a football team. This year will tell me a lot. Because if Oklahoma flounders again, that's not good.
Yeah, because they're going to the SEC next year.
Yeah. The easy part is Chris Kleiman, number 1. Chris Kleiman is the best coach in the Big 12.
Really?
Yes.
Chris Kleiman, number 1 in the Big 12.
Chris Kleiman is the number 1 coach in the Big 12. And I say this as a KU guy who loves Lance Leipold. The best coach, the best head coach in the Big 12 is Chris Kleiman.
So who's number 2 then?
I have to look at the schools to remind myself of what head coaches exist. If KU does it again, Lance gets to start entering the discussion.
Okay.
After 1 year, you can't. As much as I love Lance, after 1 year, you can't put him there.
I'm with you there.
I think Dave Aranda needs to get more love for Baylor.
Okay.
Like, Dave Aranda with what he can do at Baylor should get a lot of love.
By the way, Dave Aranda went 2-7 his first year. Doesn't count. COVID.
Yeah, first year, COVID year.
Doesn't count. Went 12-2.
Yep.
Won the Big 12. And then went 6-7 last year.
Yeah. Which they lost a lot between that 12-2 year and last year. They lost some, and they had some other stuff going on. But I still believe in Dave Aranda. Number 2 gets a little bit more wide open for me for who it could be. I'm a fan of Joey McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to see Sonny Dykes do it again before I can put him up there. Number 2 is much more wide open. I think you could give me like a list of 5 names we could start having a debate on all those. That one's a little bit less certain for me. The only thing I'm most certain about is just Chris Kleiman with what he's done at Kansas State, the teams he consistently puts on the field. I think Chris Kleiman's the best coach in the Big 12, best head coach in the Big 12.
All right.
I think so.
Interesting.
Staying with the Big 12 flavor for my start bench cut, even with the top 3 teams as well. The starting quarterbacks for the top 3 teams in the Big 12 media poll. Quinn Ewers, because we're going to believe it's Quinn's job for now. Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel.
This is a good one. I will.
There's something I know you want to say, and you can say it.
What's that?
You could start Will Howard. It just feels psychotic still.
Here's the thing about this with Will Howard.
Yeah.
They're all so similar because Will Howard has only played in essentially 7 games.
Hmm?
I think it's 7.
This version of Will Howard,
Yes.
at least.
Yeah. When Will Howard, turned it into Dan Marino.
Yeah,
I like to joke about that.
Yeah.
But Will Howard has played last year. He played in 7 games. Okay.
Yeah.
7. That's it.
Yeah.
Hard for me to be like, yeah, he's, like small sample size. Maybe he was really, really good. Same thing with Quinn Ewers. Got hurt, but was better. A lot of people, like Brendan, thinks Dylan Gabriel stinks. I know you're not a Dylan Gabriel.
I'm not a
fan.
Dylan Gabriel guy. I'm not.
Dylan Gabriel last year led the Big 12 in touchdowns. Did he lead him in yards? I believe he did. Yes, he did. He led the no, he didn't. I beg your pardon. Well, no, he didn't. Max Duggan did. But 3,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. He's the leading returning passer. I don't get how you can say he stinks. If you don't think he's very good.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't go as far as say he stinks. I don't think he's very good. I think he's middle of the road.
Okay.
I think he's a middle of the road quarterback in the Big 12.
I can at least think that. If you think, his stats are a little bit more inflated,
Yeah,
then I can agree to that. But saying that he stinks, or
I wouldn't put him at the bottom of the conference. I wouldn't say he's absolute garbage.
Like to say, I think Tyler Shuck or Hunter Deckers is better than Dylan Gabriel. That's just you're silly.
I would say Tyler Shuck's on the same level. Tyler Shuck is good. Tyler Shuck is very good.
Yeah, but he got hurt last year,
and that's its own thing. When comparing football talent, Tyler Shuck and Dylan Gabriel are both, I think, similar levels. If not a little bit better for Tyler Shuck. I'm a big Tyler Shuck.
I think all 3 of these are so similar.
They're
really
close.
Really do.
They're close.
Our good friend Phil Steele has Dylan Gabriel first team, Jalen Daniels second team, Quinn Ewers third team, Will Howard fourth. So he would.
So if you go with Phil Steele, he'd go Gabriel, Ewers, Howard.
Yeah, I think this year, for this upcoming year, I will start Ewers, bench Gabriel, cut Will Howard because I don't know who Will's going to throw to.
That is fair. That's fair enough.
The leading receiver for Kansas State coming back,
Phillip Brooks.
Phillip Brooks and Ben Sinnott.
Now that being said, Ben Sinnott I think could have a really nice year.
I'm a big Ben Sinnott
I'm a big Ben Sinnott guy too. So, I really like. Listen, something about just big dudes who play fullback, tight end in the old school. Like I'm not that fast, but I'm just a big dude who's fairly athletic. Just hits me right in the soft spot.
Mm-hmm. So that's the
Great
reason
throwback
why
player.
I will go with Ewers because I think he's got the most talent around him.
Okay.
Gabriel and then Will Howard. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody leaps and bounds over anybody. If you would include Jalen Daniels, I don't know if I would put him. They're all so even. They really are.
For me personally, if JD stays healthy and looks like the JD of last season, he is easily the best quarterback in the Big 12. Easily. But I can't say he'll be healthy all season, and I can't say he will do what he did last year because I only have really that sample size.
And I also think that against the better defenses, Jalen Daniels did not perform as well as he did against the poor defenses. I will say that the better defenses were able to, and I don't remember who is the one who came up with the stat, but it was to the point where against the top 3 defenses, K-State, now granted, he wasn't fully healthy, but he played. So if you're playing, I'm going to think that you're more healthy than not. But against K-State, Texas, and Iowa State last year, who, according to the old Phil Steele here in front of me, were the 3 best teams, Iowa State, Texas, and Kansas State defensively, right?
Yeah.
He only threw 2 touchdowns against those 2 teams, and they beat Iowa State in that game.
That was awesome.
And we know that game was a rock fight because, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 14-10.
14-11 is the final score of that game,
14-11.
which included a billion missed field goals by the Cyclones because Matt Campbell's a coward.
Yes.
I was in attendance for that game, and it was a good time.
Yes. Yeah, K-State threw for 101 yards, or Daniels threw for 101 yards that game against Iowa State.
Yeah, that was a rock fight.
Or did he get hurt that game?
No, we got hurt against TCU.
TCU, yeah.
He got hurt at the end of the first half against TCU.
Because he was cooking against TCU.
Yeah, he was cooking against TCU, then got hurt.
So
and then missed the Oklahoma, Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech games. He returned against Texas.
That'll be something there about Jalen Daniels there.
And that's fair. That's a fair point to make.
Mm-hmm. But if you want to go quarterback, running back combo, Jalen Daniels, Devin Neal is the best.
Easy
combo. It is.
Easily.
It is. No question. Coming up next, we'll get to a little Royals baseball as they play somebody. We'll get to that next. action tonight. We excited for this? Excited for Royals baseball?
Yeah. It's the Jordan Lyles start, man.
He won his last start, didn't he? Or was that?
Was Tampa the last start?
No, it wasn't. No, he lost. No, but remember,
his last start was Tampa.
Yeah, because he got
sick.
He got sick.
Yeah, he would have started against the Dodgers, but got sick.
So he's
Shut your mouth.
On a little bit of momentum here.
Shut up. No, you're not correct. He's going to lose tonight. It's Jordan Lyles.
They are actually.
You know what? Here I'll say this.
Hold on.
I would take Jordan Lyles pitching well, because then, maybe some psychotic team out there who's desperate would go, we'll give you our random 16-year-old for Jordan Lyles. And I will say yes.
Stop it, Fulton. Get some help. No one is asking for Jordan Lyles, Fulton. No one.
Hey, man, Jim Bowden put him on his list of players to be traded for.
That's why he's not in the.
I know. Trust me, I know.
The Royals have a better chance.
Someone have to get so desperate
winning
to get him
today with Jordan Lyles than they did yesterday.
Yeah. Well, not really.
By a substantial margin.
I mean,
the Royals are only plus 185. Yesterday, they were like plus 275, 265.
Yeah, I mean, by that margin, sure, but the pitching matchup's still not nice. You're facing one of the Guardians' better young pitchers.
Tanner Bybee.
Yeah. Strikes out a lot. Over a strikeout an inning. Fun fact, Tanner Bybee made his major league debut against the Colorado Rockies. Fun fact. Like, completely also shut the Rockies down. It was kind of funny. Also, his Twitter or Instagram handle, one of the two, is Issa-Vibe. Instead of Issa Vibe, it's Issa-Vibe.
Tyler Bybee.
Which is how Dan and I discovered that it's Bybee, not like Bibby or whatever. We were trying to figure it out, and we didn't know, and there's no pronunciation guide, but we saw that his thing was Issa-Vibe, and so we're like, well, if he's doing that, it's got to be Bybee. Only way that makes sense.
I never would have thought it would be anything other than Bybee.
I see it. The first thing I think of is Bibby. I think of a short I versus a long I.
Oh, I don't in that situation.
I rarely go for the long version of the vowels than the short version. I usually go short versus long.
But coupled back-to-back B's?
Well, back-to-back E's.
No, or not back-to-back. Sandwich
between two B's. I think bib. No, I think bib versus bibe.
I would have gone with
because B-I-B is just bib.
But then Bibby would be a Y at the end.
Double E's makes the E sound. It makes that long E sound with the double E's. Double E's naturally creates the E sound.
Yeah, I the first
phonetically that looks like Bibby.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is the first time I've ever seen his name, and I thought it was Bybee.
Jake, I'm going to say this in the nicest way I can.
Yes.
You have said many names wrong on this program.
Mm-hmm. I would have gone Bybee. I would have gone with Tanner Bybee.
That does not instill me the confidence that because of you thinking that means that is right.
I would have gone with Bybee.
You are correct, though.
I would have gone with Bybee.
Your instincts would have been correct with Bybee.
The Guardians lineup, man, they're not any good.
Nope.
They have one guy who hits above 290. I mean, that's better than what the Royals do, but we know the Royals are a top 10 worst team since World War II as of this moment.
That's true.
So I would expect the Royals to not have anybody hit over 290.
Yeah.
Technically, who is the Royals? Who is it? Is it still Prado?
In batting average?
Yeah.
No, qualified because qualified players amongst batting average is Bobby Witt Jr.
That ain't good.
251. Among qualified players, Bobby Witt Jr. has the highest batting average because Prado doesn't qualify.
He will qualify by the end of the year, though.
Probably, as long as he keeps playing at a good pace. He should.
But he's still at 254. Man,
But he doesn't qualify.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
and he's
just
falling off a cliff.
I'm just saying, anybody.
Yeah, no. The
Like,
Royals,
Garcia, will Garcia qualify?
I don't think he's going to get enough at-bats to qualify.
It's close, man.
Because I think the rule for...
He's played in 54 of the 86 games.
So I think the rule is you have to have 3 at-bats per game played is usually the thing for batting average qualification. Because, by everyone, non-qualifiers included, it's Michael with his 296 average.
Gosh, the Royals have just 3.
Yep. It's bad.
Man, it's real bad when your backup catcher has a better batting average and on-base percentage than any one of your future building blocks.
There's been some growing pains this year. That is 110% sure. A lot of growing pains.
If you take out any goodness,
it's bleak, buddy.
If you
don't stare too long, it'll start making you feel feelings potentially.
If you take out any qualifiers, the people who actually play,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
the best hitter on the Royals is Freddie Fermin.
If you go by OPS plus,
yeah.
If you go by just OPS plus of anybody who's actually played a decent amount of games.
Why would you watch this game? Why would you watch this team?
Don't make me start asking myself that.
I
don't need that introspection.
Why?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bleak. And like I've said many times, I think a lot of these guys can be better than what they are this year. Bobby Witt Jr. is starting to pick it up. He's better than a 250 hitter. He is. And you're starting to slowly see it. It's just he dug himself a big old hole to start the year. So doesn't matter how hot he's been. Michael is this. Is he 300? I don't know. I think close to his ceiling is 300. But a high average hitter is what Michael is. MJ needs to go to AAA. I keep saying it and I will keep saying it. MJ needs to be in Omaha after the All-Star break. I mentioned this while you were gone. I mentioned this on Monday while you were gone. MJ needs the Mike Moustakas treatment. Because you remember in 2014, Moose was barely hitting 200, and they were just like, all right, you're going down to AAA for a little bit. He was only down there for 8 games. But came back and started hitting a little bit better. Eventually was really useful in the postseason. Then had his great 2015 year. That's what MJ needs. He needs a week in Omaha, destroy minor league pitching, and remember who he is. Now, granted, I think he needs a month more than a week. But that's what MJ Melendez needs. You make it clear to him that he's still a part of the future. This isn't you're not being fully demoted. It is you have some things to work out, and the best way to do that is at AAA. And then you find one of your random outfielders at AAA and just be like, all right, let's just see what you can do for a month. Bring up John Rave and see what he looks like for a month. He's not a long-term piece by any means, but screw it. See what he looks like for a month. You're at this point. Moreover, I like to see what Nick Lofton does, but he's still working his way back from injury. He got hurt at the worst time. He got hurt at the absolute worst time.
John Rave.
Yep.
That dude works downtown Topeka.
No, John Rave owns John Rave Construction.
Yes. Very good. Yes.
When that man sounds like he owns some construction company.
Speaking of that, when we drive down to Dallas every year for the Big 12 Media Day, so coming up here next week, Dan and I always have a fun game where in Texas, they have a lot of kind of people named stuff.
Yeah.
and we always you read it and you incorporate it into a football team. Like it'll say like Scoop Johnson Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
And you go Scoop Johnson. Yeah, that guy, that's a defensive back for Middle Tennessee State. No question.
Oh, 100%.
Scoop Johnson.
Scoop Johnson.
We'll do that the entire way down there. And and there are just some names where you just go, yeah, that is the defensive end for LSU. You know what I mean? Oh, it's one of the funner parts of the drive. The 7-hour drive to where we are going to be staying coming up next week for Big 12 Media Days. The Cleveland lineup is out. The
good for them.
Royal lineup is not. But you can get the Royals at plus 188 or minus 225 for the Guardians. If you were wondering.
Cleveland probably wins, and it'll be a bummer. For what it's worth, Michael Garcia has played in 54 games this season. He is the Royals' leader in WAR.
Yeah, I can see that.
At 1.7. In 57 games, he's already accumulated nearly 2 wins above replacement. Just saying, imagine if he was on this team from day one. Not much different, but would have been nice. Would have been nice. If only somebody said that and pointed that out and was, making it clear that should have been a thing. Whatever.
Coming up next, we'll finish things off with the mic drop. All right, Fulton, what do you got?
I discovered this today, early this morning, scrolling the internet. If you think Bobby Bonilla Day is a fun day where Mets legend Bobby Bonilla gets paid about $1 million because his contract was deferred for 1 billion years, get excited for 2044 when we have the final year of Mookie Betts Day, his deferred contract kicks in 2033. Between 2033 and 2044, Mookie will be paid $120 million, probably not to play with the Dodgers, including in 2044, when he is 51, he will get an $11 million payday from the Dodgers. Mookie Betts Day will top a Bobby Bonilla Day, and it will be beautiful.
That is the true definition of kicking the can down the road.
Oh, yeah. They deferred $120 million.
Well, that's how you stay under the luxury tax. We'll just pay him when he's 50. K-State's the highest pick they've ever been. Non-division Big 12 poll. Good for them. Coming up next, we got 580 Sports Talk.